So you just got word that you are PCSing to Charleston, South Carolina. Now, whether that be to the Joint Base Charleston or the Nuclear Power Training Unit, you probably have a million questions that you need answered. Well, in this video, we're going to attempt to answer some of those main questions that everyone has when they get their orders to PCS here to Charleston. Welcome back, everybody, and if you are new here, I am Bill, and I help people make better decisions when moving to, from, or around the greater Charleston area and South Carolina. So if you're into that sort of thing, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And if you're looking to make a move in the next 3 days to 3 years, I can probably help with that. But I want to start off and just say thank you so much for your service, whether you are active duty, you are a spouse of active duty, or anyone related to the military. Thank you for your service and for your dedication. Now, what these questions are that I get the most is what we're going to answer here. And make sure you stick around until the end, because while some of this paints Charleston as a bunch of rainbows and unicorns in this amazing place, there are some things that you need to know that aren't so great. So we're going to cover just about everything for you. So the first thing we're going to cover might be general knowledge to a lot of you. If this was one of your choices, you know where Charleston is. But for those of you who don't, let me just let you know real quick that Charleston is a coastal South Carolina city on the Atlantic Ocean, halfway between North Carolina and Georgia. But the bigger question people have isn't where Charleston is, it is where in Charleston is the base. Now, we'll cover both bases here in this. So first off, we have Joint Base Charleston. Joint Base Charleston is located in North Charleston, right next to the Charleston International Airport. It is right in the middle of the greater Charleston area, very easily accessible from just about anywhere. And the Nuclear Power Training Unit, well, that's located about 13 miles to the east of Joint Base Charleston in Goose Creek. It is still very centrally located, not as easily accessible, but still very accessible to everything that Charleston has to offer and wherever you may end up living. So along with that, the question I get a lot is, where should I live? Now, if you're going to be living off base, you have a ton of options that are all easily accessible to Joint Base or the Nuclear Power Training Unit. Now, a good rule of thumb to remember is that the closer you get to downtown Charleston and the closer you get to the beaches, the more expensive housing is going to be. Now, one thing to note is that housing is not cheap here in Charleston, whether you're looking to rent or purchase. I know we are much cheaper than some of the places some of you may be coming from, especially on the West Coast. However, here in Charleston, we are above the national average when it comes to housing costs and overall cost of living. So the entire greater Charleston area has a median home price of $425,000. However, some of the more popular areas, especially those closer to base, do have median home prices that are less than that $425,000. For example, Summerville is very popular and it has a median price of about $480,000. And then you also have Goose Creek, Ladson, and North Charleston, all three having median prices right around the $300,000 mark. Now, I'm not going to go into specifics about every single area, what their median price is, and what you can purchase for that, because I did another video covering every single area and what you can get for the median prices. I'm going to link that down in the description below for you, and I'll also toss it right at the end so you can get to that right after you're finished watching this video. And if you're in PCSing here, chances are you're using these amazing VA loan benefits that you have earned. And for 100% financing through the VA in South Carolina, that loan limit can be up to $726,200. Now, of course, this is based on each individual with your income, your credit, your debt to income, and a whole slew of other factors that go into that. So if you want to know, or you haven't found out exactly what you can afford if you're looking to purchase, then hit me up. I've got some local lenders here that specialize in VA, do a ton of VA. They're well versed in it, and they're well versed in our local market. And between me and them, I can greatly help you get that best deal and find the best place for you. I do want to take a second to note that I know that there are programs that maybe you've been approached about, maybe you don't know about, through like Navy Federal and USAA, where they give you a cash rebate at closing to use their preferred realtors. Now, I want to just let you know, I was a preferred realtor for USAA and Navy Federal for about 6 years. I've helped countless veterans, active duty, retired, buy a home using their VA loan purchases. And I know these programs very well. You are not required to use the agent that they assign you. If you like my videos and you want to use me, give me a call. I can either work through that program, or better yet, I will match any rebate that they are offering you. Just let me know what it is and I will make sure to match that at closing. All right, now moving on. Now, something that does go along with housing if you have a family or you're looking to start a family and have some kids are the schools. Now, this is one of the reasons that Summerville is one of the more popular areas. Now, most of Summerville is located in Dorchester County, which is in the Dorchester District 2 school system, which is one of the top rated school systems here in the greater Charleston area. And the other half of Summerville is located in Berkeley County. Most of that falls into the Cane Bay School District, which is another very highly rated school system. Rounding out the other top school system, you do have Mount Pleasant, but because of its proximity to downtown and the beaches, the median price in Mount Pleasant for a single family home is over $860,000. Hence why Summerville is one of the more popular areas at a median price of under $400,000. And these school ratings are based on the websites of my favorite niche.com and also greatschools.org. So if schools are important, I will link both of those websites down below in the description, and do your research and just read up on the schools so you can make sure that you're making the informed decision about the schools for your family or your future family. Another question that I get more often from anybody, PCSing or not, that are moving here is always about the weather. Now, here in Charleston, we experience a humid subtropic climate. This means that our weather is generally mild and we have 4 distinct seasons. 5 if you include hurricane season, but we'll get to that in just a second. Now, our summers are hot and humid, and from June to like mid-September, you can expect the highs to be in the mid to upper 80s into the 90s, with that heat index sometimes hitting over 100. Fall sees that humidity start to go away with highs in the 70s and 80s through November. When we get into winter, from about December to February, our highs are gonna be in the 50s to 60s and lows down into the 30s. Now, it does drop below freezing at night occasionally, and I've been here for 10 years. It's actually only snowed once. We got like 6 inches. It shut the whole town down for like 3 days. Then like a week and a half later, it was back up into the 60s and people were out on the golf course again. And spring is gonna see your highs get back up into the 70s and 80s with that humidity coming in occasionally. But there is a lot of frequent rain in the spring, but being coastal, that's kind of what you get. And I always tell people, if it's a 20% chance of rain, you can pretty much bank that it's probably gonna rain for about 20 minutes that day. And speaking of rain, brings us into that 5th season, hurricanes, which also we can talk about the flooding. Now, first is the flooding. Now, this is what I get more often than anything, is I want to live in Charleston and I don't want to live in a flood zone, because everyone thinks that every time it rains, we're under 5 feet of water and it's just going to take, one good storm is going to wipe Charleston off the face of the earth. So I've done a lot of videos about flooding and flood insurance and hurricanes. I'm gonna link all of these resources below for you, but what you really need to know is we are called the low country. So therefore, yes, we do get some flooding, but it is not as rampant and as bad as the news puts it out to be. Now, most of the flooding happens downtown with occasional roads around town. Rarely you hear about it like flooding an entire neighborhood into all of the homes. It basically just creates a nuisance and you've got to detour around whatever intersection might be flooded. And do not drive through a flooded intersection, especially downtown. You don't know how deep it is. And the last thing you want to do is flood your car and stall out and just have it waterlogged, because then you're getting a new car. So for flooding, does it flood? Yes. Is it as bad as everyone makes it out to be? No. It's something to be aware of, but I don't think it's something to be too overly concerned about yet. Most of what you're going to find is Zone X, which is the lowest risk, which does not require flood insurance for federally backed mortgages. And the next zone up is AE, which by definition is high risk, but it is the first and lowest zone that requires flood insurance. Even if you're in Zone X, I always recommend having it just for peace of mind, but you are not required to carry it. So if someone says they're not in a flood zone, they're probably in Zone X. And then next are the hurricanes. Now, flood is when water comes from the ground. Hurricanes, water comes from the sky. Now, everywhere you live has natural disasters. Our natural disaster of choice happens to be hurricanes. And if you ask me, they're my favorite natural disaster because they generally start way out in the ocean. You have about 2 weeks to prepare because they move super slow. It's like being stalked by a turtle. Rarely will they ever become just a category 4 right on top of you, like a hurricane, not a hurricane, but like an earthquake or a tornado. You have zero warning. So I personally do not mind hurricanes because of that. Now, they can be big and scary and dangerous. I'm not trying to discount them. I'm just saying you have plenty of time to prepare. And once you move here, just make sure that you have your plan and you know exactly what you're going to do and where you're going to go if you have to evacuate or if you're going to stay. And lastly, you're probably wondering, what is there to do? Well, there is a ton of stuff to do here in Charleston. Being a coastal city, we have the beaches. One of the best things people to do during the weekend or on their off time is go to the beach. Our 3 main beaches are Isle of Palms, Sullivan's Island, and Folly Beach. Now, all of the beaches here in Charleston and South Carolina are public beaches. So you can go anywhere. There's beach access on just about every block for you to park, walk down to the beach, and enjoy your day. Also, being coastal, we have a lot of water activities that people like to do to spend their free time, whether it be fishing, either on a boat or from one of our fishing piers, or buying or renting kayaks or paddle boards and just spending a day on the water. But it's not all water activities. We have tons of amazing golf courses and a park system with tons of dog parks. That there's so much to do outdoors. We have festivals that go on every year. Some of the more popular, bigger ones are the Charleston Wine and Food Festival, which brings people and food lovers and chefs from around the world into Charleston to celebrate our food culture, as well as the Southeastern Wildlife Exposition, which has live entertainment and shows and fine arts for the outdoors, and also Spoleto, which is a 17-day international music and performing arts festival. There's just so much to do here. I always ask people to just check out the calendar of events, whether it's on Facebook or the city websites, and you can fill your yearly calendar with things that are going on and never get bored. Now let's get into the not so good stuff real quick. One thing is the traffic. Yes, there's a lot of traffic in Charleston, but like the flooding, people paint this out to be a lot worse than it really is. Our traffic is bad for the size of our city. So if you're going from downtown to Somerville in the afternoon rush hour or vice versa in the morning, be prepared to sit in a little bit of traffic, but the traffic still moves along. It's not like you're in Atlanta or LA where you're stopped for 45 minutes trying to get somewhere. Our traffic at least moves. I already pointed out the cost of living. Eggs are just as expensive here as they are everywhere, but our housing is a lot more expensive than most places. But to combat that, our property taxes are pretty low. So just kind of budget to spend a little bit more in housing than you would most places. Our gas prices are relatively lower as well. So there are some offsets on that. So just don't get that sticker shock when it comes to housing, whether a mortgage payment or rent. We mentioned the summer heat. It gets pretty hot here, humid. You kind of get used to it. It gets really hot. You walk out, I look outside and I sweat. But also in the summer, we have a lot of mosquitoes and bugs. So stock up on your bug spray. If you're buying a place or renting a place, a screened in porch is one of the best things that you can have to kind of keep those bugs at bay. But it's not just the mosquitoes. Our State insect is the palmetto bug. It's cockroach, not gonna lie. They're everywhere. Don't let them freak you out. You'll probably see the occasional one in your house, as long as it's just an occasional one. From what I've been told, it's not a big deal. It's when you start seeing a lot of them and a lot of little ones, that's when you have an infestation. And lastly, if you're going downtown or the beaches, we do have a big tourist crowd here. So especially in the summer months, be prepared for that. If you're going downtown to make dinner reservations or to hang out or go to the beaches, the later you go to the beach, the longer it's going to take you. I've got 2 small kids, so fortunately we get to the beach before everyone else, and we're leaving when everyone else is trying to get there. And it could be the difference of an hour in your drive time, depending on where you're coming from. So I hope this answered a lot of your questions if you're PCSing here to Charleston. If there's any other questions that you have, drop them down in the comments and I'll be sure to answer those. And again, I'm a local realtor here, well-versed with helping our veterans and active duty and military move to Charleston. So if you have any questions or you're looking for a great realtor, I would love the opportunity to interview to see if I'm the right fit for you and your family to make the move here. I've got all my contact information right here for you. It's also, again, like everything else, down in the description. And if you found value in this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Check out these videos right over here because I think you're gonna find some great value in those while you're researching your next PCS to here, Charleston, South Carolina, what I consider the best city on earth. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.